first off, I want to get your thoughts on Rueben Randle. That happened after you were on the air yesterday with us. So give us your insight and thoughts on Randle. I said he'll fit right in because he can't catch the ball.
That's a low blow. I'll tell you what, he's a tease. There's no question about that. But if you look at his production, 8 touchdowns last year, 57 catches, I think, over 70 the year before. This is the weakest position on the team, and you could point out the deficiencies of his game. He's not the greatest route runner. The hands aren't there, at least consistency-wise. But he walks into that building as the second-best receiver on this team. That's the bottom line. And we can all talk about Nelson Aguilar and say we have hope for him. But anyone who watched him play last season, it was bad. And to assume that the light is going to go off and he's going to be a difference maker, he's going to be a starter in this league, is a great leap of faith. So I think at the bare minimum, it gives you a nice cushion, and the fact that this is at least a lower level starting receiver, and that's an improvement for.
So are they suitable? Is that a suitable core then? Aguilar, Matthews, Givens, Randle, maybe Huff. Is that a suitable core that they don't need to target receiver, in the early rounds?
No, by no means. They still have to bring in talent at this position because Jordan Matthews isn't the number one. Rueben Randle isn't the number 2. Nelson Aguilar isn't the number 3 right now. So you have guys ill-suited for what they need to be, and they still need to have talent at that particular position. It's just by bringing Randle in, they're better off than they were before.
John McMullen with us, 97.3 ESPN.com. All right, Phil Savage just joined us. I thought he had some really interesting things to say, John. I don't know if you saw some of the things that I was tweeting out at Mike Gill Show, but one of the things was he said, now there's that report that you wrote about at 97.3 ESPN.com regarding Carson Wentz, and he says, look, I would not be surprised if one of the quarterbacks were available to the Eagles that they would dump Bradford. Would you go that far to think that if they could get their hands on Wentz and or Goff and or Paxton Lynch, that they would be willing to dump Bradford in the process?
Yeah, I believe that. If they like Carson Wentz as much as being reported, they've set up the contract to where if they could flip him and trade him, and we all look at Denver, they already traded one quarterback there. Who knows? Maybe we could have a Bradford Sanchez duel for starting quarterback in Denver instead of Philadelphia. But I still think it's a long shot. And I think the team's mentality is that Sam's going to be the starter this year. Chase Daniel's going to be the backup. But if somehow a guy like Wentz falls to him at number 8, which I don't think is going to happen, I do not believe the Eagles are trying to trade up to number 1 or number 2 to get him. I think Howie Roseman kind of talked about that last year when Chip Kelly was trying to do it. It's not a prudent thing to do. And I think he understands that. And remember, as much as the hype as you hear, and it's even going to increase because Wentz had his pro day today and was pretty impressive by all accounts, it's only going to increase from here. I haven't talked to one scout who would say he's the level of prospect that Jameis Winston was last year or Marcus Mariota.
No way.
So, even if he's the top prospect in this draft, he's not a top prospect compared to big-time level prospects, guys like Winston, guys like Andrew Luck. He's not that, and I don't think Howie Roseman is going to mortgage the future for him. If he's there at 8, yeah, I believe the Eagles would take him, and then all of a sudden the dominoes start to fall. What do you need Sam Bradford for at that point? And then it's a possibility. But it's a very small one because, A, Wentz is not going to be there, and B, I don't think the Eagles are going to move up to try and get him.
Well, he also, one of the things that stood out to me, John, was he says you don't make that move from 13 to 8 unless you have a target. So if they were to target someone at 8, in your opinion, who is the clear guy to target at that spot?
Well, Howie's been very honest about that move, and he believes that there are 10 really good players in this draft. And obviously, if you're sitting at number 8, you're going to get one of them. If you're sitting at number 13, you might not. So that was their mentality about flipping positions with Miami. Now they believe that they're going to get a player no matter what who's in the top of this draft, no matter who falls to them. I've heard from a number of different sources that the top player on their board is Miles Jack, the linebacker from UCLA. I don't believe he's going to be there. They're very high on Wentz, obviously. I don't believe he's going to be there. And I hear they're high on Ronnie Stanley, and he probably will be there. Not necessarily the best fit.
Can he play guard?
Johnson. Well, that's the thing. He's so athletic, the Eagles believe he can kick inside and then eventually replace Jason Peters as the left tackle. He's got that kind of athleticism, so that's a possibility. The better fit for this team would be a guy like Vernon Hargreaves, the cornerback from Florida State, because they need an upgrade there. They need the talent there. They need a number 1 level corner. So he could be another option, but I don't think he's as high on the Eagles board as players like Jack and Wentz and Stanley.
John McMullen with us, 97.3 ESPN.com. RG3, is he in purgatory in Cleveland, or will he rescue the Browns?
Well, it's hard to say anybody would rescue the Browns. I can't put that on his shoulders. We've all seen, you've probably all seen that famous photo of the fan who kind of manipulated his jersey to put every single name of the Browns starting quarterbacks since 1999, the reincarnation of that particular franchise. And this will be number 25 if he starts the 2016 season as the starting quarterback. So they haven't been able to get it right. They've used first-round picks, and go back to Tim House, Brady Quinn, Brandon Weeden, Johnny Manziel being the latest. And they're probably going to use the number 2 overall pick for a quarterback, whether it's Wentz or Jared Goff. So they're going to do it again, and they're sort of taking the Seattle mentality, which is just carpet bomb the position, keep rotating, and eventually you're going to find somebody who can play like the Seahawks did with Russell Wilson. That's their theory, and they got a guy who, at the bare minimum, has a tremendous skill set if he's healthy and he can regain his confidence. But those are 2 very, very big ifs.
By the way, the deal for RG3, just for those of you who are wondering how much money that he ended up getting paid, is, let's see, it's a 2-year, $15 million signing bonus of $3.5 million with 6.75 guarantees. And I was saying this before, John, if you're Philadelphia and you're signing Bradford to that huge deal, or you could have got RG3 for that deal, I would have been comfortable taking RG3 on that deal if you got Chase Daniels backing up, and if you have an eye on a quarterback, I think that would have been a risk worth taking there.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have your thought process there, and they've had it for a number of years with Sam Bradford. People keep shaking their head of how he gets so much money, and he's got $22 million guaranteed. So I give him a lot of credit. A lot of it's just being the right place at the right time and timing aspect of it. But I'll tell you, the angriest guy in the world right now should be Ryan Fitzpatrick, because Chase Daniel got more money than the Jets are offering Ryan Fitzpatrick. RG3 got more money than what the Jets are offering Ryan Fitzpatrick. And Fitzpatrick's the guy who threw for 31 touchdowns last year. RG3 didn't even throw a pass. Chase Daniel barely played. And he threw 31 touchdowns, and the Jets won't give him any money. It's astonishing.
John, I know you have strong opinions on the New York Times piece, the CTE, the NFL downplaying the risk of head injuries, basically using a lot of flawed research here. So let us have it. What do you got?
Well, there's no question. I think this is, people get caught up in this all the time. We can stipulate in the past, I think we should all be able to do that the NFL's behavior regarding this issue was egregious. There's no downing that. There's no disputing it. But you have to move past that. And the Times, what they're doing today is they're rehashing old research from 1999 when the NFL was behind the times. But it doesn't speak to what's going on today. And a lot of the improvements made, and make no mistake, there's been tremendous improvements, are because of the whistleblowers that pointed out the NFL's behavior in the past. My biggest issue was why can't people get past that and move on to where we are today instead of constantly saying Paul Tagliabue's state of denial. It's different now. And as we see with the constant rule changes, basically all of them, 90% of them that aren't minutia, are all done for player safety. I just don't understand why the concussion lobby, as I call it, is always looking to rehash the past. They should focus on the future, focus on the improvements made, and let's start from this point forward and forget about the finger pointing. So that's my biggest issue, and I don't understand why people can't do it.
He's John McMullen, 97.3ESPN.com. You can read his national takes on things like CTE and the entire NFL at todayspigskin.com. At JF McMullen. Follow him on Twitter for all his NFL news and notes. And don't forget to read McMullen's Eagles coverage for all the offseason news and notes at 97.3ESPN.com. All right, John. The Eagles keep us busy.
Good stuff, John.
Hey, thanks, guys. And real quick before I go, sad story today is Kevin Turner, the ex-Eagles fullback, passed away. So want to send condolences to him and his family. Passed away at 46 of ALS today. So that is a very, very sad story.